Hello students, so today we are going to start with our first chapter from your supplementary reader, which is Snapshots, and the first chapter is The Summer of the Beautiful White Horse, written by William Saroyan. Okay, so if I tell you about this story is written by William Saroyan, and this is the story of a beautiful summer morning when the writer William Saroyan, who is named as Aram in the story, he gets a chance to ride a beautiful white horse, okay, which was his dream. Since his childhood, he wanted to ride a white horse, beautiful white horse, and he gets that chance. So, this story is about that. This story is about two Armenian boys who belong to a tribe whose hallmarks are trust and honesty. Now, in this story, there are two boys. Who are those two boys? They are from Armenia, okay? And those two boys are Aram, which is the writer, and his cousin Murad. Both of them, they belong to Armenia, and they belong to the tribe of Garoglanian tribe, okay? They belong to Garoglanian tribe, which is a tribe in Armenia. And the hallmark means the identity of the tribe is trust and honesty. Trust and honesty. Right? So let us start with our chapter. One day back there in the good old days when I was 9 and the world was full of every imaginable kind of magnificence and life was still a delightful and mysterious dream, my cousin Murad, who was considered crazy by everybody who knew him except me, came to my house at 4 in the morning and woke me up tapping on the window of my room. So, when this story starts, the writer says that when it was a summer morning, it was 4 o'clock in the morning and obviously he was sleeping, okay, and just then he heard a tapping on the window of his room, and who was that? That was his cousin Murad, and this is the time when he was 9 years old, okay, in the back old days, means in his childhood time, okay. Now, at 4 o'clock in the morning, his cousin Murad had come to Aram's window and was tapping on it and was waking Aram up. Okay? Aram, he said, I jumped out of bed and looked out of the window. I couldn't believe what I see. It wasn't morning yet, but it was summer, and with daybreak, not many minutes around the corner of the world, it was light enough for me to know I wasn't dreaming. So, Murad was tapping on the window and that woke Aram up, and also Murad was saying Aram karke, he was calling Aram, who? Murad. And just when he heard Murad's voice, he jumped out of the bed, he woke up from his sleep, he jumped out of his bed and he looked out of the window to see who is it. And he says he couldn't believe what he saw. Okay, and when he looked outside, it was 4 o'clock in the morning. It was dawn. Daybreak means dawn, the time when sun has not risen yet, but still there's some light around. Okay, so it wasn't that dark. It was with some light, but without sunshine. That time of the day is known as dawn or daybreak. Okay, so light was enough to make him realize that he wasn't dreaming, because he could not believe what he saw. My cousin Murad was sitting on a beautiful white horse. Now what he could not believe to see that his cousin Murad was sitting on a beautiful white horse. I stuck my head out of the window and rubbed my eyes. Just because he could not believe and he thought maybe he was dreaming, he still looked out of the window and he started rubbing his eyes, okay, to make himself realize that he wasn't dreaming and this was a reality. Yes, he said in Armenia, it's a horse, you're not dreaming. Make it quick if you want to ride. Then his cousin was there downside with the horse, and when he saw Aram looking out the window, he said, yes, you're not dreaming. Now if you want to ride this beautiful horse, just jump out of the window and come with me, he said, okay. Who? His cousin Murad. I knew my cousin Murad enjoyed being alive more than anybody else who had ever fallen into the world by mistake. Now this line, anybody else who had ever fallen into the world by mistake, means anyone who has taken birth on this world, okay. Now by this line he means to say that among any other person, he knew his cousin very well and he knew that his cousin is very lively, he is very crazy, okay, and he could do anything, okay. But this was more than ever I could believe. He knew that his cousin is crazy and he could do anything to enjoy life. He was lively, but still he could not believe that today early in the morning he has come with a beautiful horse. In the first place, my earliest memories had been memories of horses and my first longings had been longings to ride. Now, from his childhood only, his memories, and he always desired. Longings means something that you desire and you want that, okay. So, from his childhood days when he was small only, he always dreamt of riding a beautiful white horse, okay. Now, that is why it was his dream, and it was just now his cousin Murad was with a beautiful white horse. He could not believe that. This was the wonderful part, okay. Now seeing his cousin Murad with a beautiful white horse, which was his dream to ride, and Murad was calling him for a ride. Now this was a beautiful and a wonderful thing for him, for Aram. In the second place, we were poor. Now first of all, he could not believe that. Why? Because it was like a dream for him to ride a beautiful horse. And second of all, they were very poor, okay. This Garo-Glanian tribe was very poor. All of the people belonging to this tribe was very poor, okay. So now he says that next time, second thing is we were very poor, we could not afford to buy a white horse. So that is why he could not believe that his cousin had come with a beautiful white horse. This was the part that wouldn't permit me to believe what I saw. Now just because of this, just because they belonged to the Garo-Glanian tribe, and just because they knew that their tribe is the poorest and they could not afford such kind of horses, this was the thing that was in his head, and he could not believe that his cousin Murad was with a white horse now. We were poor, we had no money, our whole tribe was poverty stricken. Every branch of the Garo-Glanian family was living the most amazing and comical poverty in the world. Now he says that about their tribe, which is Garo-Glanian, he says that yes, we were very poor, we did not have money, okay, and we were living in a poverty-stricken tribe, in a very poverty-deprived society, okay, and there was some kind of comical thing in this also, kind of humorous thing in this also. How? Because none of the people belonging to this tribe, to this Garo-Glanian tribe, they knew how they are getting the food to eat, how they are managing to get money or their basic necessities like fooding, clothing and shelter and all. They did not understand from where they are getting all those things, okay, which were the basic necessities. And he says that this was a comical poverty, Okay, now this was something that was having humor in this poverty also. Nobody could understand where we ever got the money enough to keep us with food in our bellies, not even the old man of the family. Most important of all, though we were famous for our honesty, we had been famous for our honesty for something like 11 centuries, even when we had been the wealthiest family in what we like to think was the world. Now, this says that yes, we were so poor that none of the family member of this tribe, even the ancestors or the older people of this tribe, knew from where they are getting that money. Okay, and first of all, they are poor, and the second thing is this tribe was known for their honesty since 1100 centuries. Okay, since 11 centuries. So 1 century comprises of 100 years. So 11 centuries means 1100 years, right? So since 1100 years, they had been known for their honesty. This tribe, Garo-Glannian tribe, was known for their honesty. Okay? Then we were proud first, honest next, and after that we believed in right and wrong. So this tribe was proud of themselves first for being honest and trustworthy, and next they were honest also. And the third thing about this tribe was that they believed in right and wrong. Okay, so they always did the right thing and always avoided the wrong thing. Okay, so that is why they say that none of us would take advantage of anybody in the world, let alone steal. So we, the people of this tribe, we would not even think of taking benefit of the other person. Then forget about stealing. Stealing is like something else than this, and we couldn't, when we cannot like take benefit of the other people's, then how could we even steal somebody's thing? Okay, so consequently, even though I could see the horse so magnificent, even though I could smell it so lovely, even though I could hear it breathing so exciting, I couldn't believe the horse had anything to do with my cousin Murad or me or with any of the member of our family, asleep or awake. Because I knew my cousin Murad could not have bought the horse, and if he could not have bought it, he must have stolen it. And I refused to believe he had stolen it. Okay, now apart from the things that was going on in his head, all these thoughts, in reality, he could see that horse and his cousin Murad standing there in the garden, okay, waiting for Aram, okay, and when he looked at that horse, it was so magnificently beautiful, it was so lovely, okay, he could see that horse, he could smell that horse, he could hear that horse breathing, which was so lovely and so beautiful. So this is the reality that he could see right in front of him, and in his head other thoughts was going on, like how have Murad managed to get that horse, if he had stolen it, if he had like bought it, and all of these thoughts. Okay, and he says that I knew that Murad cannot afford to buy that horse because they were so poor, and if he had not bought that horse, that means he had stolen it, and Aram was not able to accept that Murad has stolen that horse from somebody. Okay, so no member of the Garo-Glannian family could be a thief. I stared first at my cousin and then at the horse. There was a pious stillness and humor in each of them, which on the one hand delighted me and on the other frightened me. Now, he knew that this tribe of Garo-Glannian was so honest and such good human, okay. So that is why he believed that not only Murad but none other family member of this tribe could steal or could do something like that, okay. And he says that when he looked at that horse and his cousin Murad, Both of them were so calm and so still, okay. When he looked at both of them, he felt so delighted, so happy to see both of them. And on the other hand, he was frightened also. Why frightened? Because he did not know how Murad has got that horse and from where he has got that horse, okay. So all of these thoughts frightened him, and on the other hand, when he saw the both of them so calm and so still, he was so happy and so delighted. Murad, I said, where did you steal this horse? Leap out of the window, he said, if you want to ride. Okay, now he wanted to ask Murad from where he had got that horse. Okay, and he asked Murad also, like, from where have you got that horse? Or from where did you steal that horse? Then Murad does not answer that question to Aram. He says that instead, he says that just come out if you want to ride this white horse, then stop asking me questions and just come with me and let's go for a ride. It was true then, he had stolen the horse, there was no question about it. He had come to invite me to ride or not, as I chose. Okay, so now he says that yes, that means maybe Murad has stolen it. Why? Because when Aram asked him from where did you steal it, he did not answer to that question. So that means maybe he was avoiding that question just because he actually had stolen that horse. Okay, he says that all of these things are going on in his head, okay, in Aram's head. And now he was left with just two choices. If he wanted to ride that horse, Murad has asked him to come out of the window and let's go for a ride. And then the second thing is, if he did not want to go for a ride, he could just stay home. Okay, so he was just left with two choices. Well, it seemed to me stealing a horse for a ride was not the same thing as stealing something else such as money. Now here Aram is also trying to justify Murad. How? Because he says that stealing a horse is something different to stealing money. Because when you steal money, you are actually making loss to the other person. But when you steal a horse, when you use it for riding a horse and then if you give it back to them, then it could not be called stealing. Now he says this because he wants to justify Murad's stealing of the horse. Why? Because he also loves horses and he also wanted to ride the horse, so that is why he was trying to justify that stealing. And he says also, for all I knew, maybe it wasn't stealing at all. If you were crazy about horses the way my cousin Murad and I were, it wasn't stealing. It wouldn't become stealing until we offered to sell the horse, which of course I knew we would never do. Now he says also, if you people are also crazy about horses and riding horses, then you people would also know and you people would also feel that that could not be called stealing. Okay, and it could be called stealing only when you take somebody else's horse and then you use it and then you sell it to some other person. Then it could be called stealing. Otherwise, when you take somebody else's horse, you ride it, use it, and then if you give it back to them, then it could not be called stealing. Okay, so here he is trying to justify Murad's action. Then let me put on some clothes, I said. All right, he said, but hurry. I leaped into my clothes. I jumped into the yard from the window and leaped out onto the horse behind my cousin Murad. Okay, now after justifying his thoughts that okay, this could not be called stealing because I love horses, so we can even give that horse back to the owner. Then after justifying these thoughts in his head, he decides to go for the horse ride. He says that, okay, I'll be coming, but let me put on my clothes first. And Murad says, okay, fine, but do it quickly. And then he puts on his clothes, and he jumps out of the window and he goes for the ride. That year we lived at the edge of town. On Walnut Avenue behind our house was the country. Vineyards, orchards, irrigation ditches and country roads. Now, here in this para, he is describing the location of their house. Okay, that time when he was telling this story about that time they were living on the edge of the town, means when the edge means at the end of the town. Okay, when the town was about to end, there was their house, and around their house was Walnut Avenues, and there were like vineyards where you grow grapes and make wines. Okay, there were irrigation ditches. Irrigation ditch is something when you make little ponds and you collect water in them, and then you use that water for irrigating your fields. Okay, and the country roads means countryside means your village area, right? So country road would mean the roads in the village area, which are not pakka, which are rough and all. Okay, so he is describing the location of their house and their journey from when they were riding the horse. In less than 3 minutes we were on Olive Avenue, and then the horse began to trot. The air was new and lovely to breathe. Now it was early in the morning at 4-5 o'clock, so it obviously the air was fresh and lovely to breathe. The feel of the horse running was wonderful. My cousin Murad was considered one of the craziest members of our family. Began to sing. I mean, he began to roar. Okay, now both of them were riding the horse, and it was such a lovely time. It was early in the morning. The air was fresh. It was so lively to breathe, and it was so wonderful. And then Murad, his cousin, started to sing. Okay, so he says that Murad actually started to sing, but to Aram he says that it was like roaring. Okay, so that is why he says actually he was singing, but I mean to say he was actually roaring. Now, every family has a crazy streak in it somewhere, and my cousin Murad was considered the natural descendant of the crazy streak in our tribe. Before him was our uncle Khusrov, an enormous man with a powerful head of black hair and the largest moustache in San Joaquin Valley, a man so furious in temper, so irritable, so impatient that he stopped anyone from talking by roaring. It is no harm, pay no attention to it. Now he says that, okay, in every family there is a crazy person, someone who is crazy, someone who is like lively and all. Okay, so this Murad was also known in his tribe as a crazy person, and they believe that this craziness streak or this trait has been inherited from some other person who was known as, there was an uncle in their tribe who was known as Uncle Khusrov, and Murad has also taken his craziness traits from this uncle. Okay, and this Khusrov uncle was very irritable. He used to get irritated very quickly. He was bad-tempered. He was so impatient, and he could not listen to other people talking. Okay, when some other people used to talk, he used to say like, stop paying attention to them. It is not important to you, and if you will not listen, it is not going to do any harm to you. Okay, so this Uncle Khusrov was this crazy. That was all. No matter what anybody happened to be talking about, once it was his own son Arak running 8 blocks to the barber's shop where his father was having his mustache trimmed to tell him their house was on fire. This man Khusrov sat up in the chair and roared. It is no harm, pay no attention to it, the barber said. But the boy says your house is on fire. So Khusrov roared, enough, it is no harm, I say. So this Khusrov was so crazy because like one time what happened is, he was sitting in a barber shop, he was sitting on the chair and he was getting his mustache trimmed. Okay, so that time his son, whose name is Arak, he came running to him quickly. Okay, and his son said that Daddy, our house is on fire. Even that time also it did not bother him. He said, no, don't pay any attention to it. It is not going to do any harm. Okay, so he was so careless about it. Okay, and the barber also says that, what are you saying, sir? Your son is here and he's saying that your house is on fire. And even to the barber also he would say, no, pay no attention to it. Okay, so he was this crazy. My cousin Murad was considered the natural descendant of this man, although Murad's father was Zorab, who was practical and nothing else. Now actually, this Murad was not the son of Uncle Khusro. Okay, he was someone else from their tribe, but they belonged to the same tribe, but he was not his father. Murad's father was Zorab, who was a practical man, just opposite to crazy. Okay, he was practical man. He was a practical man. So that's how it was in our tribe. A man could be the father of his son's flesh, but that did not mean that he was also the father of his spirit. The distribution of the various kinds of spirits of a tribe had been from the beginning capricious and vagrant. So now Aram here says that although he was not the father, okay, Khusro was not the father of his cousin Murad, but he has taken the traits of his craziness from this Uncle Khusro. Okay, and he also says that it is not important that if you are son of someone else, then it is not important that you also have the characteristics of your parents. You could even inherit characteristic of somebody else. Okay, and this characteristic of craziness of Murad, he is relating with the craziness of Uncle Khusro. We rode and my cousin Murad sang. For all anybody knew, we were still in the old country where, at least according to some of our neighbors, we belonged. We let the horse run as long as it felt like running. So they were on the horse and Murad was singing, and the horse was running very fast. At last my cousin Murad said, "Get down, I want to ride alone." Then his cousin Murad told his cousin Aram that, "I want to ride this horse alone, so please you get down." "Will you let me ride alone?" I asked. After that, Aram also asked, "I also want to ride alone, so will you also let me ride alone?" "This is up to the horse. Get down." So then Murad says, "This depends on the horse. If the horse will let you ride alone, yes, you can ride. But I cannot say if he will let you ride or not." "The horse will let me ride," I said. Then Aram says, "Yes, I know that the horse will surely let me ride alone." "We shall see," he said. "Don't forget that I have a way with the horse." Then he says that, "Okay, we will see whatever the horse does, if he will let you ride or not, we will see later. But first of all, you get down and let me ride, okay? And you should know, and you must know, that I have a way. That means I have some a different setting with the horse to let it ride, okay?" "Well," I said, "any way you have with the horse, I have also. Just like you have a different way or different setting with the horse, even I have a different style or different setting with the horse. So yeah, I know he will let me ride." "For the sake of your safety," he said, "let us hope so. Get down." "Okay, we hope so. Let us hope that he will also let you ride. But for now, just get down and let me ride alone." "All right," I said, "but remember, you have got to let me try to ride alone." Then Aram says, "Okay, fine, I will get down, but you will have to remember that you will have to let me try. Let me ride the horse alone, okay?" I got down and my cousin Murad kicked his heels into the horse and shouted, "Wazire, run!" The horse stood on its hind legs, snorted and burst into a fury of speed that was the loveliest thing I had ever seen. So he gets down from the horse and Murad says, "Wazire, run," okay? And then what does the horse do? The horse puts his legs behind, he snorts. Snorts means making an explosive kind of sound from the nose, okay, which you must have seen the horses doing, okay. So he snorts and then he bursts into the fury of speed. That means he just starts running fast, okay. And to him, to Aram, it was a lovely sight. My cousin Murad raced the horse across a field of dry grass to an irrigation ditch, crossed the ditch on the horse, and 5 minutes later returned dripping wet. Now his cousin Murad was alone on the horse and he rode it, and he went from the dry grass to the irrigation ditches. Irrigation ditches was full of water, right? So when the horse jumped, what happened is the water got splashed all over them. So that is why when he came back, it was all dripping wet. So the rest of the chapter we will continue in our next class. Thank you.